Let me guess how the story goes. Your dishwasher is about 7 or 8 years old. It has worked away, quietly, night after night. And then one day, it just stops. Maybe it leaves a cold pool of water on your kitchen floor. Maybe the lights on the front flash a code you have never seen before. Maybe it simply goes dark and refuses to turn on at all. So you call someone out to look at it, and they tell you the problem. It is the control board, the little computer brain of the machine. And then they tell you the price to fix it. And you do the sum in your head. That one repair costs nearly half of what a brand new dishwasher would cost. And so, with a sigh, you are told those familiar words. Honestly, at this age, it is just not worth fixing. Now here is the strange part. Ask an older person how long their dishwasher lasted, and they might tell you 15, even 20 years. But today, so many machines seem to give up right around the 7-year mark. Almost as if they are all quietly counting down to the very same point. So what is going on? Why do modern dishwashers seem to die so young, and so predictably? The answer is the same story we keep uncovering again and again. Your dishwasher, like so much else in your home, was built to fail. Let's start with the numbers, because they tell the tale. Studies of how long appliances last put the average dishwasher at around 9 years. Many give out somewhere between 7 and 12. Now, that is not terrible. But here is the interesting part. Some brands, the ones that build heavier, tougher machines with better pumps, regularly last far longer than that, well into their teens and beyond, which proves something very important. A dishwasher can be built to last a good long while. It is not a law of nature that they die at 7. It is a choice, and many makers simply choose the shorter life. So what actually kills a dishwasher? Let's open one up and look at the weak spots. Because just like a chain, a dishwasher breaks at its weakest link. And modern machines have several of them, placed right where they will do the most damage to your wallet. First, there is the control board. This is the little computer that runs everything. And it is delicate. A small jump in the power, or a bit of moisture where it should not be, can fry it. And here's the cruel part. A dishwasher is a machine that is full of water and steam, sitting in a warm kitchen. It is one of the worst possible homes for a delicate little computer. So these boards fail, often, and replacing one can cost a few $100s, which on an older machine is more than enough to write the whole thing off. Second, there is the drain pump. This is the small pump that pushes the dirty water back out. It has a little propeller inside, and a piece of glass, a fruit pit, or a shard of plastic can jam it or wear it down. It is a small, cheap part, but when it fails, the machine floods itself with error codes and simply will not drain. Third, there is the heating element. This is the part that heats the water to clean your dishes and helps to dry them at the end. In many areas, the water is hard, which means it is full of tiny minerals. Over time, those minerals build up on the heating element like a crust or scale. That crust traps the heat, the element overheats, and it burns itself out. A part slowly killed by the very water it sits in. And then there are the smaller pieces. The little valve that lets the water in. The spray arms that spin around and can crack. The door latch that must click shut before the machine will run. Each one is small. Each one is cheap. And each one, on its own, can bring the whole machine to a dead stop. Do you notice the pattern here? The single biggest killer is the electronics. That control board. Old dishwashers were run by simple parts. A basic timer, a dial, and a few sturdy switches. Tough, simple things that could take a lot of abuse, and that a repair person could easily replace for very little money. But modern machines are run by that one delicate computer board. It gives you fancy programs and glowing lights and a quiet hum. But it also gives you a single, expensive, fragile point of failure, sitting in the steamiest spot in your whole kitchen. They added the very thing most likely to fail, and then made it one of the most expensive parts to replace. That is not an accident. That is a design that leads, again and again, straight to not worth fixing. And that phrase is the very heart of the whole trap. Not worth fixing. Think about how it works. The machine is designed with a costly, fragile brain. That brain fails, often right around the 7 or 8 year mark. And the cost to replace it is set so high that it lands right near half the price of a brand new machine. So a repair person, being honest, tells you to just buy a new one. And so you do. But notice what really happened there. The rest of the machine, the tub, the racks, the pump, the door, the motor, is very often still perfectly good. You are throwing away a whole, mostly working dishwasher, all because one costly part failed at a carefully chosen time. The machine was built so that its most likely failure would also be its most expensive one. And that pushes you, every single time, straight toward the store. So who wins here? The makers, of course. Instead of selling you one tough dishwasher that lasts 20 years, they sell you 2 or 3 flimsier ones in the very same time. Every fried control board, every not worth fixing, is another fresh sale. A shorter life means more machines out the door. And who loses? You do. You pay for machine after machine, when one good one should have lasted for decades. And the planet loses too. A dishwasher is a big, heavy thing, full of metal, plastic, and motors. And we throw them out by the millions, most of them killed by a single part that failed on schedule, in a machine designed to make that failure too costly to fix. And by now, you know this pattern by heart. The bulb, the printer, the fridge, the washer, and now the dishwasher. It is always the same trick, wearing a different mask. A cheap or fragile part, placed exactly where it will fail. A design that makes that one failure too expensive to repair. And a gentle, constant push toward buying another. Different machines. The very same plan. To really understand what we have lost, let's picture a dishwasher from decades ago. Back then, the machine was a simple, sturdy beast. It was run by a big mechanical timer, a thing you could almost hear clunking through its steps. A dial, a motor, a heating element, a few tough switches. That was more or less the whole story. There was no delicate computer, no touch panel, no glowing screen. And because it was so simple, there was very little to go wrong. When something did wear out, a repair person could get in, find the part, and swap it for very little money. These machines quietly washed dishes for 15, 20, even more years. They were not clever, but they were honest, and they lasted. Now compare that to the machine sitting in your kitchen today. It is packed with electronics, with sensors, with programs you will never use. It hums quietly and glows with little lights. It looks and feels more advanced. And in a way it is. But every bit of that cleverness is another part that can fail. And the cleverest part of all, that control board, is also the most fragile and one of the most expensive to replace. We did not make the dishwasher better and longer lasting. We made it fancier and far shorter lived. That is not progress. That is a step backwards, dressed up in a nice new suit. So why would any company choose to build a shorter lived machine? It comes down to the same cold business math we keep running into. A company that sells you a dishwasher every 20 years is a slow, quiet business. A company that sells you one every 7 years is nearly 3 times bigger, using the very same customers. The people who run these companies are under constant pressure to sell more this year than they did last year. And the easiest way to sell more dishwashers is to make sure the old ones do not last. A machine that runs for 20 years is, strangely, bad for business. So little by little, quietly, the machines got weaker. And the newest trick is to make them smart. More and more dishwashers now come with apps and Wi-Fi and screens that connect to your phone. It sounds handy, but stop and think. That is another little computer, another set of delicate electronics, added to a machine that lives in heat and steam. It is one more thing to fail, and one more reason for a costly repair. And here's the worst part. The app itself can go out of date. In a few years, the company may stop supporting it. The Wi-Fi features stop working. The very thing they charged you extra for becomes useless, long before the machine itself wears out. You paid more to get a feature designed to age like a phone. Fast. Then there is the quiet problem of the parts themselves. When your dishwasher fails, and you need that control board, or that special pump, you may find another nasty surprise waiting. The exact part for your model may be hard to find, or wildly overpriced, or simply no longer made at all. Companies do not keep making parts for old machines forever. So even a willing repair person can be stopped cold, not by a lack of skill, but by a part that no longer exists. And a machine you cannot get parts for is a machine with a death sentence, whether you like it or not. And when your dishwasher finally does fail, it rarely picks a kind moment. It waits for the dinner party, when the sink is already piled high. It waits for the holiday, with a house full of guests and mountains of dishes. You open it to find a cold pool of dirty water and a flashing light, and no way to run it. And in that stressed, busy moment, you do not shop around carefully. You just want it solved. So you rush out and buy whatever is available today. That panic is part of the trap too. They know that a calm shopper finds a good, sturdy machine or a fair repair. And they know that a stressed one just grabs the nearest box and pays. So how do you fight back? You have more power than you think. First, choose your brand with real care. Some makers are well known for building heavier, tougher dishwashers with better pumps and sturdier parts that last far longer than the cheap ones. They cost a bit more upfront, but a machine that lasts 15 years is far cheaper than two that die at 7. Ask repair people which brands they rarely ever see come back to the workshop. They know exactly which ones truly last. Second, protect the parts that wear out. If your water is hard and full of minerals, use the right amount of dishwasher salt and rinse aid, and clean the machine now and then with a proper cleaner. This helps protect that heating element from the crust that kills it. A little care can add years of life. Third, clean the filter and check for blockages. At the bottom of most dishwashers is a filter that catches food and bits of debris. Many people never once clean it. A clogged filter and a jammed drain are among the most common reasons a machine seems to die. Clearing them is often completely free and can bring a broken dishwasher right back to life. Fourth, do not blindly accept not worth fixing. Ask exactly what failed. If it is one of the cheaper parts, like a pump, a valve, or a latch, the fix may be well worth it, and your machine may have many good years still left in it. Get a clear answer before you scrap a whole machine. Fifth, keep it simple when you buy. Do you really need the Wi-Fi, the app, the touchscreen, and the dozen wash programs you will never once touch? Every one of those extras is another part that can fail and another feature that can go out of date long before the machine itself wears out. A plainer, sturdier dishwasher with simple controls and a good pump will very often outlast the fancy one by many years and cost you less to begin with. In a dishwasher, just like a washing machine, boring is beautiful. Boring is what lasts. And then look after it well. Clean the filter often. Run a cleaning cycle now and then. And do not jam it so full that the spray arms cannot even spin. Small habits like these can quietly add years to its life. And most of all, remember the trick. When your dishwasher dies at 7 and the repair costs half a new one, you now understand exactly why the numbers are stacked that way. It was designed to push you, at that precise moment, to buy again. And knowing that changes everything about how you respond. So the next time your dishwasher floods the kitchen, or flashes a strange code, or simply goes dark, do not just sigh and head straight to the store. Stop. Ask what really failed. Because very often, the machine is mostly fine. It was only that one fragile, costly part, failing at its appointed hour, that turned a small problem into a death sentence for the whole machine. Your dishwasher did not have to die at 7. It was simply built, quite carefully, so that it would. And here is the wider truth to carry with you. There is nothing about washing dishes that demands a machine die in 7 years. Water does not care about warranties. Metal does not rust on a schedule set in a boardroom. A dishwasher is not a difficult machine. We built ones that lasted 20 years, decades ago, with far simpler tools than we have today. Every early death you have ever paid for was a choice, made long before the machine hummed its first cycle in your kitchen. Someone chose the fragile board over the tough one. Someone chose to bury it in the steam. Someone chose the shorter life and the bigger pile of sales. It did not have to be this way. And the moment you truly understand that, you stop feeling unlucky and you start shopping and fixing and thinking like someone who simply cannot be fooled so easily anymore. So the next time you stand in a shop, looking at a shiny dishwasher covered in buttons and glowing lights, remember to look right past the shine. Ask about the pump. Ask about the warranty. Ask which parts tend to fail and what they cost to replace. Because the prettiest machine on the shelf is very often the one built to leave you the soonest. And the plain, boring, sturdy one standing beside it, the one that does not shout for your attention, may quietly turn out to be the one that serves your family for the next 20 years. This is just one machine in your kitchen. On this channel, we keep opening them up, one by one, and showing you the hidden weak links and the buried clocks inside the big machines. Because once you can see how they are built to fail, you can start choosing and fixing and keeping the ones that are not. And that clear sight is worth far more than any single machine. It is the thing that finally puts you back in charge. So stick around. There is a whole lot more to uncover.